So the PlayStation meeting has finally happened, and really, it's pretty difficult to find anybody right now who thinks it was a glowing success. Now, leading up to this hype conference, there were rumors flying around about all kinds of things like Red Dead Redemption Remastered was going to be announced, or the PlayStation 4 Neo was going to be called the PlayStation 4 Forever and have upgradable parts, which you didn't hear either one of those from me because I didn't repeat them because I thought both were kind of silly. But in reality, if either one of those would have happened, it would have been a lot more exciting than what Sony actually delivered. So first up, we've got the PlayStation 4 Slim, which everybody has known about for weeks now. It comes out September the 15th, going to be priced at $299, and is going to be the standard PlayStation 4 going forward. So they're going to clear out all the old systems, which I think honestly look a whole lot better, and then just produce this Slim version. Now, the Slim has all the same features of the original PlayStation 4, except there's no optical output for your audio, which people like myself actually do use. I've got a Bose home surround sound system that I use optical for. This one doesn't have it, so they're putting out a new model with actually fewer features, which is kind of strange if you ask me. Next up is the more powerful PlayStation 4, which was previously called Neo. Turns out it's going to be called the PlayStation 4 Pro. Now, I did a video all the way back in April where I posted up the leak specs for this console, and it turns out you can go watch that video today and it's still spot on. Nothing changed. It's still a 4 teraflop console. So there were a lot of talk, a lot of rumors, people saying, Sony saw the Scorpio, now they're going to go back to the drawing board, and create upgrades and everything else. Nope, sorry, no upgrades here. What you see is what you get. Another thing that Sony kept on talking about, though, with the Pro Edition was 4K. You heard 4K, 4K, 4K over and over during this presentation. One thing you didn't hear, however, was native 4K, which again we've talked about in the past, so look for most games to be upscaled. One thing that was really baffling, however, though, that caught a lot of people's attention was all this talk about 4K, and there's no 4K Blu-ray player in the PlayStation 4 Pro. That's right. It's almost laughable. You talk about a 4K machine, and it can't even play 4K discs, and then you look over and you see that the Xbox One S has a 4K Blu-ray player and is also like $100, sometimes $150 cheaper than what this Pro Edition is actually going to be. Another thing that was upsetting from Sony was that they said there's not going to be any difference in the frames per second for multiplayer games on the PlayStation 4 Pro. They said they don't want to give pro people an advantage. But here's the funny thing. In the same program, they were talking about how 4K makes players in the distance look clear. Yet if you look at them on a regular screen, then they would just be some blur. So they've got no problems with you playing a shooter where you're shooting people in a distance and 4K people can, see the player easily, and HD TV people, I guess, are just looking at a blur. They've got no problem with an advantage there, but they say there's somehow an advantage when you go to 60 frames. Even though you look on PC, it's never been a problem. You've got people playing Battlefield right now at 30 frames per second or even less. You got some people playing at 120 or even more. And guess what? It doesn't make a difference. And I mean, 60 frames per second is so much smoother, so much nicer to look at, but it doesn't give you a huge advantage when you're actually playing it. So it kind of baffles my mind that they're not going to let people take advantage of that. They do say that devs can use the extra power to make games look better on the Pro, but still, I mean, if I'm going to buy an upgraded console, I don't want to buy an upgraded console to still play games in 30 frames per second. Another thing is PlayStation 4 Pro only supports HDR10 and not the higher quality Dolby Vision when it comes to the HDR capabilities. PlayStation 4 Pro will release on November the 10th for $399. Now, they did say it would help their VR device, which I imagine this has to be one of the main reasons for them wanting to get a new system out the door, because all the reviews that I've read, they say that the quality of the PlayStation 4 VR is really poor when you compare it to what you see on screen. Like a lot of times you'll watch videos of people playing VR and the screen will look nice and clear and everything else because the VR system is outputting that image to a screen. But what people see on a TV screen is not what you see in the visor. And they say that once you put on the headset, the image isn't nearly as clear, which hopefully with the PS4 Pro, it would be able to get a clear image on that VR. Now, the one announcement that I thought was pretty big and probably the only one that really hadn't been leaked before this meeting was the fact that Sony is going to be updating all PlayStation 4 consoles and making them HDR capable, which is pretty cool. I mean, it makes me wonder why the hell Microsoft can't do that. So the good news is, if you have a PlayStation 4, you don't have to go buy a new one in order to take advantage of HDR if you've got an HDR TV. Sony's going to be rolling out an update for that here pretty shortly. Other than that, I thought the meeting was pretty weak. Like, I was left wondering, why did they even do this meeting? Like, what was the point of it? They could have done this like in a 5 or 10 minute video or announced it at the past E3 or the Tokyo Game Show, something like that. Like, there just didn't seem to be much excitement. Like, even from the people who were on stage announcing it, like, they didn't even seem to get into it. It was almost like you were sitting there at a funeral or something. So anyway, they showed off the PlayStation 4 Pro. And like, this thing looks like it was designed by somebody on Fiverr for like $5. But there were literally more people clapping whenever they showed Call of Duty than there were people clapping for whenever they showed the PlayStation 4 Pro. I mean, there were like only 3 people clapping for Call of Duty. But like, to me, like, I heard more clapping. Those 3 people were more than what was clapping for the PlayStation 4 Pro, which is kind of crazy. So anyway, Microsoft seems to have taken notice of the poor performance, fired off a few shots of their own, noting that the Xbox One S, which is, again, over $100 cheaper than the PlayStation 4 Pro, can actually handle more 4K content right now, simply because it has a Blu-ray drive in it than the PS4 Pro. They also posted up a message saying that they're proud to soon show off a, quote, truly 4K gaming machine, which will be the most powerful console ever. Of course, talking about the Scorpio. So post your thoughts down below on the PlayStation 4 Pro and on the PlayStation meeting. And if you're interested in the Pro or the Slim, pre-orders are now open, and I'll leave links down below so you can go pick that up if you are indeed interested in it. That does it for me, the Red Dragon. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.